In episode 2, Jug talks about how obsessed he and his friends are with horror and crime comic books, and while he's reading one, he discovers that one of the stories looks familiar, and he believes that it is his. You see, he had submitted a story to the comic book, but the story was rejected, yet here it is published anyway with no credit to him. There's a dance happening at the school and Archie asks Veronica, and of course she can't just say yes or no, she needs to know if he can cut a rug first, meaning can he dance? Which I guess fair enough. Cheryl gets all flustered when she thinks that Tony is asking her to the dance, but Tony really is asking if her friend Fangs can sing as the main performer at the dance. Cheryl says no because Kevin and the Crooners will be playing as previously announced. Jughead goes to confront the editor of the comic book, and the editor denies stealing his story but says that he is actually looking for a writer, so Jug is given his first assignment. Archie goes to Betty and asks her to teach him how to dance because he lied to Veronica about being able to. Betty tries to teach him the twist and he's hopeless. Then she teaches him to slow dance. There are some sparks, and I've always been a Betty and Archie fan, so this final season had better not mess them up. Jug goes to Ethel, Bob from Stranger Things, to team up so that she can do the illustrations for his story. Betty points out to Kevin that he hasn't asked her to the dance yet, and he says, well, he's performing, so they can't really go together, or some kind of excuse like that. He also seems offish. He doesn't seem into kissing her, and he makes this excuse about not wanting to get a cold before he performs. Kevin is obviously gay in this universe too. He just doesn't know it yet. He's sweet and he's trying to make it work with Betty, but you can see that he's a little prickly around the physical affection. Kevin figuratively bumps into the new guy at school, the guy with the very cute dimples, Clay. There's clearly a little chemistry there, but of course neither are ready to admit it. It's a very cute meet cute though. Veronica tells Archie that she's still entertaining other offers to the dance, and it's not just dancing that she's looking for. She wants somebody who won't be a bore, so he'll have to prove that he can dazzle her with his knowledge about art, politics, etc. She says that she's rooting for him though. Veronica advises Betty to invite someone else to the dance to make Kevin a little jealous, and maybe that'll wake him up and make him realize what he's missing. Cheryl hears that the Serpents will be waiting in the parking lot to throw eggs at anyone who goes to the dance, and Tony is the main instigator of this. This is interfering with her ticket sales, so she's going to have to fix this. Archie's mom gives him one of his dad's old blazers to wear to Veronica's self-important salon. They're really driving home the whole Archie as a wholesome, kind of simple, small-town guy with a pure heart. Well, I guess he's always been like that. And the sophisticated, worldly, but girl-bossy Veronica. That's also been her vibe. It just seems to stick out in this time period a little bit more for both of them. Anyway, Archie heads over to Betty's and tells her that he wrote a poem for Veronica, and Betty reads it and she thinks it's actually sweet. Cheryl goes to see Tony, confronts her about sabotaging her dance. Fangs is at that same cafe and he's about to perform, so Tony invites Cheryl to stay and hear him play and get to know her better. Archie arrives at Veronica's and he sees that all of her suitors are there. It's not just a date where the two of them can get to know each other. The men will all be competing for Veronica's attention. It's very on brand for her, I gotta say. Betty tells her mom that she feels she might have feelings for Archie, or stirrings, like butterflies in her stomach, and her mom thinks that this might just be a reaction to feeling underappreciated by Kevin. Ethel asks Jug to the dance and he's like, oh, for fun? As though it wouldn't occur to him that she might really want to go on a date with him. And Ethel kind of covers up and she's like, yes, just for fun. But you can tell that there might have been a little bit more there. Poor Ethel. Always a bridesmaid, never a bride. Archie is a little out of his depth, and Julian Blossom really antagonizes him. He's very snobby, talking about his art buying tours all over Europe. And on paper, Julian is a match for Veronica, but he's generally pretty foul and unlikable. Archie decides he's had enough of this mess and he leaves. I usually really enjoy snobby rich characters like Blair Waldorf, but I really hated Veronica's character here. Veronica goes to talk to Archie, but his mom answers the door and gives Veronica a talking to. She tells her that if she hurts Archie, there will be trouble, and basically asks, who do you think you are making boys compete for your attention that way? Alice, Betty's mom, talks to Kevin about his troubles with Betty. She gives Kevin a pin then, a symbol that a boy cares and that he's serious about a girl. Betty also pointed out earlier that Kevin hadn't even given her a pin yet, so we do know that it means something to her. By the way, Fangs is going to be performing at the dance now, and Tony intimidates one of the kids into buying tickets for the dance. I don't care for this version of Tony either. She's kind of a bit of a bully, but I get that they're going for the tough biker girl, so it makes sense, I guess. The school psychologist and principal bring Ethel into the office to talk about her drawing in class. They're also concerned about what she's drawing. Remember, Jug's comic is a horror comic, so supposedly these images are quite disturbing. Anyway, she gets detention. Archie apologizes to Veronica for walking out of the soiree the night night before, and he says that Gillian just really riled him up, but he'd still like to go to the dance with her. She says that she had a good time with him, but she's not going to the dance with anyone after all. He's annoyed then, and he asks, well, what was the whole show about then? And she says that it was just a game. Veronica tells Betty later that she realizes that she's been careless and thoughtless with a lot of the Riverdale boys, especially Archie, who doesn't deserve it. Betty asks if Veronica didn't like Archie's poem, and Veronica asks what poem. Betty hears then that Archie isn't going to the dance with anybody, and she decides that she's going to ask them, but just then she's interrupted by Kevin, who apologizes to her. He tells her that he took her for granted, and he asks her to go steady with him and to go to the dance, and she says yes. Smithers finds Archie's crumpled poem and he gives it to Veronica. Ethel's parents are mad because she's skipping detention, she's drawing her demonic pictures, she has boys in her room. Her mother did find Jug in her room at the start of the episode when he asked her to draw for his comic. She rebels, but she's clearly in trouble, and her father looks very aggressive. Clay and Kevin have a little chat at the dance, but Kevin realizes that he should pay some attention to Betty, so he goes over to her. At the dance, Fangs starts singing a Little Richard song, and sorry Kev, but the best band won. Did we know that Fangs could sing? Well, he can. Tony asks Cheryl to dance, and they do, but the meddlesome principal is off to the side looking concerned at two girls having a little too much fun on the dance floor. Veronica tells Archie that she got his poem and she thinks that it's beautiful. She asks him for a dance then, but he says no, maybe next time. And he goes and dances with his mom. Aww. Gillian comes sauntering by and asks Veronica for a dance, so they dance. Clay looks on at Kevin dancing with Betty. Cheryl sadly looks at Tony. And at the end of the episode, Ethel arrives at the dance, all bloody, like Carrie, and says that something bad has happened. And that's the end of episode 2 of Riverdale. Thank you for watching.